Hi everyone, it's Joy from the Denver, Colorado area here in the United States, and it has been a wonderful Fun in the Sun presentations for our Global Inspiration Stamp team today. And thank you, Elizabeth, for that bonus project. It was very fun. So I am going to be using the Lazy Days stamp set, which, you know, of course, just screams summer. And it comes with dies if you order it in the bundle to save 10%. It has all these wonderful dies. Anyway, we are going to be making a really fun fold card with this today. It is a bay window card, so you score it and fold the front so that when you slide it over and put it together, it has this wonderful fold here that looks like a bay window. And it still folds flat, so you can mail it and put it in a regular envelope. I've decorated my envelope this time, so that's fun. This is my measurements that I did. I'm sorry I didn't do both imperial and metric this time. Time just kind of got away from me, and I didn't have a chance to figure that out. But if you take a screenshot of this, you'll be able to see it, and I will try to post that in my description later after my video has finished going live. So now we need a card base that is 4¼ inches by 11 inches. That is our half of our standard A2 card that we sell here in the United States. So we need to score it at, let me just bring this in. We need to score it. It's already been pre-scored, but we do need to score it at 3/8 inch, and then again at 1 7/8, and then at 3 5/8, 5 1/8, and then at 5 1/2, which is exactly half of the 11 inches. So I will fold it. I have a little smudge there, but I can cover that up with my designer series paper. So we're going to fold on all of these lines. And I'm going to get my bone folder out. And you want to be kind of precise on folding your lines. And then our last one is our little 3/8 inch. I'm going to go ahead and score this one again. So now we have all our card base with our little panels ready to decorate. Now I wanted to show you, you take a piece of your designer series paper. I am using the Fresh as a Daisy designer series paper. It has all of these lovely floral images on one side, and then if I can get this out of the package, it has kind of a color wash look on the other side, and I thought this looked like clouds. So you want to figure out which direction it's going to go. And so the 4-inch side needs to be this direction. So I'm going to take and put it at my 4-inch mark. Hi everyone. Yes, we are good at covering up smudges. And then I'm going to cut. So I told you about what the pieces are that we need to cut. So in order to fit the bay window and have the direction go across like this, you need to cut the 1 3/8 inch first, and then cut the 1 5/8 inch, and then another 1 3/8, and then we need one more 1 3/8 inch for the inside. So when you're finished, your total piece of paper was 4 inches by 5 3/4 inches, which utilizes your Designer Series paper to its maximum. So we have all these pieces. Now I have cut another batch of pieces and I have numbered them so that I get them in the right order. This is just a little post-it note or sticky note. I have 1, 2, 3, so that those will all line up in my window. This one doesn't quite match. It got a little mixed up, but this is going to be on the inside, so it really won't matter that much. So we have these pieces, and we have our card base here. And we're going to remove this little thing, and we're going to attach this. I like to use the liquid glue when attaching Designer Series paper where it needs to be kind of precise, because the liquid glue does give me a little bit of wiggle room. It doesn't dry instantly. Yes, that lines up. So now I'm going to line this up, top and bottom even, and then you can see there's just a little tiny bit on either side in that panel. Now we're going to do number 2 and do the same thing. So I hope everyone is having a nice summer day today. We are just a little bit cooler than we have been. We've been in the upper 80s, but today it's only getting up to the 60s, so we're getting a little bit of break from the heat today. And some showers. We've had a very rainy June here in Colorado. Very unusual to have this much rain. We can have some little afternoon showers, but for the most part we don't get this much rain here in Colorado. We've just had a lot, but it does make everything green. I will admit that. So let's get these 3 on, and this matches and that matches. So I'm doing well. So now we have our background for the outside. And then I needed to do this piece here, this nice little decorative overhang on our porch. And I went ahead and put the adhesive sheet on the back of my cardstock before I die cut it, so that now I can peel this off and it is a sticker on the back. I love the adhesive sheets for these detailed dies because you don't have to try to get glue in all those tiny little places. I'm going to line this up at the top of my designer series paper here. Going along this edge, kind of pushing it down as I go. So that it kind of molds to the card front. And then I have just a little too much. So I'm going to take my paper snips. I'm going to trim that off. Kind of lining it up with this designer series paper. So that has worked out well. We also need to come in. I'm just going to take the liquid glue again. You could take tear and tape and do the same thing. I'm going to put some glue right just on this panel here. Be generous, but don't get it too close to the edge and don't get too much because you don't want it oozing all over the inside of your card. Just a thin layer of glue. And we're going to just attach that. Kind of let that adhere. And now I think we're ready for a little stamping. I mounted my potted plant and my rocking chair and the table with my lemonade on it. I mounted that on one big long stamp so that I could stamp it all together. I am using the Pecan Pie ink pad. And I don't know, some people pronounce it pecan, some people pronounce it pecan. I've always said pecan. I am from the Midwest here. If you are in the South or other regions, you pronounce it differently. So I can stamp all of this at once. There we have that. Now, so that you don't have to watch me color all the way, I have colored some. Now, I did it both ways. I did it with the watercolor pencils and a blender pen. By the way, the blender pens come in a pack of 3. And I used mostly the watercolor 2 assortment, but pulled in the Daffodil Delight from the watercolor 1 assortment. And I used Cherry Cobbler Cajun Craze to give the Cherry Cobbler a little, tone it down just a little bit. And I've used both the greens, the Granny Apple and the Garden Green, and then Daffodil Delight for the lemonade. So I also colored one using blends. So I'll show you, this is the colored pencils and the blender pen, the watercolor pencils and blender pen, and this is the blends. So they are very similar. I did find that for me, the watercolor pencils were a little bit easier to do because for my highlight, if I wanted to just take a little color away, all I did was use a nice soft eraser. And that took off some color. in places to give a little bit of shading so that you knew where my sun was coming from on my bay window. But either looks really good. The blender pens, I needed to come back and use the color lifter to remove some of the color after I was done. And so that's kind of the difference there. And let me show you just a little bit. You've got your cherry cobbler, and with the colored pencils, you don't have to go all the way to the edge. You don't have to be really precise. You can just kind of, you know, scribble in the middle there. And it was, you know, kind of a pretty bright red. So I wanted to tone it down just a little bit, which is why I came in with my Cajun Craze, because I wanted more of a redwood look versus a, you know, brightly painted red. So you've got that. And then your blender pen will just kind of help blend that out all the way to the edges. And you can add layers if it isn't quite as dark as you would like it. You can add layers of color, let it dry in between. The blender pen does make it a little wet, so you need to let it dry a little bit in between. And then you can come back and you could add more shading, and you can remove a little bit of color with your soft eraser. So to save a little time, I have gone ahead and die cut these out. I kind of attached them with a little bit of washi tape so that you could see the difference between the two coloring mediums. So I'm just going to get those out and ready to go. I have also, to save a little time, I have stamped and then cut apart the rug. So let me find all of my rug pieces out of my little baggie. So there we have this and this. So what I needed to remember when I cut this apart, I stamped it first in the Misty Moonlight, and then I had to remember that my first panel was 1 3/8 inch, so I cut this at 1 3/8 inch from this little corner here, and then this piece is 1 5/8 inch, and then this is just your leftover piece. So let's go ahead and start putting some of our pieces together. Let's get these on here first. Again, using my liquid glue because it gives me a little wiggle room. Oh, thank you, Jackie. I'm glad you like my coloring. I have learned a lot from my husband, who is an artist and understands the concept of where your light source is a little bit better than I do. But I have learned to be acceptable on my coloring. So this goes at the bottom of your DSP here and along this edge. My next one for the next panel, again, that glue will spread, so don't get it too close to the edge. It must go this way. Lining the bottom up with the bottom of my DSP. On one last piece. Yes, I love the watercolor pencils too. I really think they work well for some things. So now we have my rug so that it doesn't look like my potted plant and my table and my rocking chair are just kind of floating in the air. So I want to use Designer Series, no, I want to use dimensionals, not Designer Series paper, dimensionals for this. So I've just grabbed my minis here. So the potted plant goes about here, and then my rocking chair, probably use my take your pick tool, it's right here. And dimensional backings get everywhere. I don't know about those of you that have pets. Do you ever find dimensional backings on your pets? I'd have to say I do. So now we need our table. And it goes over here on this side. All right. So we have our scene built here. Now we're going to work on the inside. So I have our little thanks piece. I'm going to grab my little white square here and my slightly larger 1/8 of an inch larger boho blue square. So I have the basic white and the boho blue. And I'm going to take the thanks from this set and the Misty Moonlight. Oh, I bet it's funny when the dimensional backings get on the cat's tail, Sandra. So I'm going to do my thanks kind of to the left, but up a little bit. Just kind of eyeballing and hoping I get that straight. Oh, pretty good. And then attaching this piece. Oh, no, I used dimensionals for that. Yep, they all came off. Get that with an even border around it. And I'm going to need more dimensionals, but I don't need dimensionals on the left half. So I need to remember that. Okay, here's some full-size ones. I'll just do 2 of those. So we have that ready to go. Now I need my remaining, where'd it go? I had one more piece of Designer Series paper. Well, let's see. That's my inside piece. And my final, it has disappeared. Where did you go? Well, luckily, I have my Designer Series paper, and I can just cut a new piece at 1 3/8, and I will find that one later, I'm sure. So now I can attach this piece. And does it matter? I don't think it matters. And I can put this piece right here. leaving an even border around 3 sides. And this is a piece of basic white to handwrite a sentiment. Oop, it goes this way. So I chose to just put this one right up next to this one, like so. And then this will attach here. Let's put this here so we can kind of see approximately where we want it to go. Now I did put this all the way to the edge. All the way to the edge so that these are even here. And now we have, this one goes up this way. We have the bay window part of our card completed. All we have to do is use some embellishments. And the ordering special that we are doing for this event is a sample of the an adhesive backed embellishment. And I think my butterflies, my brass butterflies, have run away with my piece of designer series paper. Oh, I'm sure that none of you have ever just had it be right in front of your face somewhere and you find it after the fact. Well, I really don't know where that is, but I will show you what I did. I used one of the brass butterflies right here, and then 2 of them on the thanks, so that we've got a total of 3 of the butterflies, the large one here, 2 small ones there. And then one of the beautiful things about the watercolor pencils is if you use those, you can stamp on your envelope and you can color those in and they will not bleed through to the back. So if you were using blender pens, you would have to put a piece of cardstock inside for it to bleed onto, or it would bleed onto the back side of your envelope and would not look so pretty. So there we have it, our bay window card. Again, you get that lovely bay window shape, and it does fold down to be flat in your envelope. So I hope that you have, yes, the butterflies have flown away. I hope that you have enjoyed my presentation, and I really enjoyed the bonus one that Elizabeth did, but Elizabeth is up next to do her Fun in the Sun presentation for you. So stay tuned, and in about just shy of 30 minutes, you will see Elizabeth again with her, I'm sure is amazing, Fun in the Sun project. So until next time, bye.